Hi, and welcome to the Memorable Moment, presented by Memories and Moments Travel. I'm Scott, one of the senior travel advisors here at Memories and Moments. Now, one of the things you may not know about me is that I am a theater geek. I love going to shows, and I've been involved with the theater myself since I was a kid. So, one of my favorite vacations growing up was going to New York City for an extended weekend to take in some Broadway shows. We'd blow into town end of the day on Thursday and be back out by Sunday afternoon. It was a kind of a whirlwind, but honestly one of the most memorable moments of growing up with my family. So I thought we could take a couple of moments to go over some of the basics of taking a long weekend in New York City. Now, if you're from New York or you're a New York travel veteran, I'm sure you have lots of thoughts and hints and tricks on how to approach the city. But I'm going to look at this from the angle of somebody who's never been before and would just like to get a taste of what New York has to offer in a short period of time, with a focus on catching some of the entertainment under the neon lights of Old Broadway. Now, if this is your first time to New York City, don't drive. I've driven a car through Manhattan before, and it's like a cross between Mario Kart and a Mad Max movie. Leave the navigating to the professionals and fly into the city. A quick cab ride or public transportation can have you in Midtown in the amount of time it would take you to drive over one of the bridges. I'd also suggest using surface level transportation, such as cabs and buses, for your first time in New York City. If you're not used to riding a subway, it can be a little overwhelming and disorienting. But by all means, if you are a veteran of public transportation, the Manhattan subways can get you wherever you want to go. Now, the Broadway Theater District centers around Times Square, reaching from about 52nd down to 40th or so. Now, there are technically a few Broadway theaters that are a little bit further away, like the theaters of Lincoln Center that are up on 66th. But for the most part, if you are visiting to take in Broadway shows, you'll be confined to that Times Square area. Because of that, I would suggest you attempt to stay somewhere near Midtown Manhattan. Now, the hotels are going to be more expensive in Midtown because they are right in the middle of the city and the center of the tourist world. But by staying in Midtown, you can pretty much walk to all of the theaters, hundreds of dining options, and a lot of noteworthy tourist attractions. The further you get away from Midtown, the accommodations will become less expensive, but you'll need more planning time when it comes to putting together an itinerary. Now, there are several ways to get tickets for Broadway shows. The first and most obvious is to visit the show's website directly. You're always going to be able to find a link to the box office there. But you can also visit a website like playbill.com, which will give you links to all of the shows currently running on Broadway or off Broadway. Now, here's where we could do a whole video on the difference between Broadway and off-Broadway theater. But in a nutshell, off-Broadway shows are going to be less mainstream and in smaller theaters, but in most cases will be just as professionally produced. Another option for tickets, especially if you're not dead set on seeing one particular show, could be to go to the TKTS kiosk right in the middle of Times Square. There you're going to find discounts on unsold seats for a ton of Broadway shows. The trick is the tickets are only available for the performances on that same day. So it's a little bit of a roll of the dice. Now, there are dozens of different websites that'll sell unsold tickets at a discount. I like a website called Today Tix. I can see a few weeks worth of upcoming performances, what seats are remaining, and how much those discounts are going to cost me. Unless it is the biggest, hottest show of the moment, there really isn't any reason that you have to pay full price for Broadway tickets, especially for shows that have been running for several years. But don't forget, the typical Broadway schedule is Tuesday through Sunday. Most shows have matinees on either Saturday or Sunday and are dark on Mondays. Now, there are a handful of shows that will skip another day of the week and have a show on Monday, but most Broadway takes Monday night off. Now, you're going to spend your evenings in the theater. You want to spend your daytimes with something else. So if you're staying in Midtown and you're close to many of the memorable landmarks of New York City, get out and explore. A short walk will take you to Central Park. During the day, it can be absolutely beautiful to spend a few hours strolling around many of the tree-lined paths and stumbling upon things like street performances, a carousel, and even the Metropolitan Museum of Art right on the edge of the park. You'll be able to walk to things like Radio City Music Center and Rockefeller Center, where you can take a tour of the studios where they shoot Saturday Night Live and other popular TV shows. And you won't be that far away from the Empire State Building, or you can jump in a cab and head down to the Statue of Liberty, pay your respects at the 9/11 Memorial. There really is no end to the things you can do or see in New York City. So please don't try to do it all in one weekend. Pick a few things for the first time and do a few more the next time. And just like any other travel destination, especially a big city, be a smart traveler. Keep your eyes open for people who are trying to scam you, especially around Times Square. There's going to be a ton of costume characters who want you to take a picture with them and then demand money from you. So just keep your eyes open. Now that wraps it up for this edition of The Memorable Moment. When you are ready to start planning your next travel adventure, reach out to us here at Memories and Moments Travel. But until then, make sure you take a moment to make a memory. We'll see you next time.